Welcome to the Be Life Podcast. This is episode 83, and we're coming to you from the Be Life Church in Canton, Ohio. I'm Joe Palmisano, and this man next to me right here is Jami Bosley. And for those of you who don't know, there's people that watch us in England and different places in the world. So in different parts of the country, they don't know who you are. But people who live around here in Ohio obviously know who you are. But Jami Bosley, 1995 graduate of Jackson High School here in Stark County, all-time leading scorer in Stark County basketball history. 1995 and 96, he started 18 games as a true freshman for The Ohio State University. And then in 97 through 2000, he was at the University of Akron, three-time All-MAC first team, 1998 MAC division champs. I mean, when I watched this young man play, he was like a whirlwind. He never stopped. He just played. I mean, to start at Ohio State University as a freshman, start 18 games, I don't know if you people understand how hard that is. And it was unbelievable. So, Jami, I thank you for being with me today. Thank you for coming in and sharing your story. In this podcast, Be Life Podcast, we like to bring people on like you, bring people and share your journey with other people, because I think it resonates with what people are going through, that everything in a Christian's life isn't, all smooth and nice, and there's some pits and there's some things that go on to get you to the point where you are today. So thank you for being with me. I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. You had so much success. I mean, let's face it, when you were in high school and coming out of high school in your first year at Ohio State and everything, you're the man. You had so much success, more than most people. You were that good. And I want to know, I guess, coming out of high school, where was your head?
So I came from a really humble family. My mom was a school teacher. My dad was a mortician, funeral director. They both grew up on farms. So, and we were, foundationally, we were God-fearing, church-going family that was a house built on the Lord. And I mean, from what I can remember as a kid, we went to church every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday. If the church doors were open, we were there. Mm-hmm. So as a kid, there was very humble beginnings. We didn't have a lot. My mom was a private school teacher for a long time, so at a Christian school. But my parents just loved us so much, and I just grew up in a home that was just really, really humble.
How many brothers and sisters?
So I have an older brother, John,
okay,
who played with me in high school. He was a senior when I was a freshman,
right.
So he welcomed me onto the varsity, into that locker room. It was really special to have him there. He's actually a Canton City. He's a captain on the Canton City Police Department.
Wow. Loves
the Lord and phenomenal.
Yeah. And now, but then all of a sudden you get fame. I mean, you're famous. You're a young man that's just killing all the records. You're the all-time leading scorer in Stark County history, basketball history. Everybody knew the name Jami Bosley. Did all that upbringing hold up at that time?
Honestly, it really did.
Yeah,
it really did. It was always in my nature. I was a humble person. I wasn't like a trash talker. I wasn't arrogant. I always, I don't know. It was just something. I credit my mom and dad just because we were such a humble family. And, even when things were hard in basketball, my dad would remind me that, basketball is just a game. This is not who you are. It's something you do. You do it really well. And my mom would always tell me, since I was a little kid, she would tell me, you are, God when you were born, I knew you were special. I knew there was something special about you. And, you know, as I get a little bit older, like that, and she would always speak that life into me. And I would always be like, and then she would tell me, God's given you a gift. You need to use it for the Lord. And, you know, I feared God as a kid. I knew heaven and hell were real. I just couldn't, as a young kid, I couldn't reconcile. I knew I was always spiritually sensitive. So I knew I sinned and I knew I did bad things, but I would go to church every week and hear, you know, sinners go to hell, sinners are bad. And the church that we were a part of, it just, for whatever reason, I would always think, man, why do I do this stuff? And I kind of like to do this bad stuff too, you know? And I got pretty prolific at it in my 20s. And so I could never really reconcile it. I didn't understand or know about God's grace. I didn't know about God as
It wasn't about grace, and it was about more of the law.
That's the way I received it. And I was as a child, and up until my late 20s, I've always been a super hyper ADD, ADHD, just very go, you know, and that in the church. I mean, I grew up Baptist, and our Baptist church was I remember amazing people there, but for whatever reason, I understood it like, do this and you're a sinner, do this and you're going to hell, or do this and you go to heaven. And I'm like, what? I can't do it all the time. I don't know how. And
it's so.
And they were well-intentioned people.
Yes,
I don't think
but it's a great lesson for later on.
Oh, huge.
Once you find out about grace and stuff. I told you that you know, when I watched you play, you were nonstop. You were so disciplined. You had to be to maintain that high level of success that I saw you play with every time I saw you play. You were just constant, going, moving, working, playing defense, doing everything. How did you, was that come from your family, from your older brother, from what?
So I do credit a lot of my, like the discipline part of it. When I got to high school, my high school coach, Larry Taylor.
Oh, I remember him.
Larry did a phenomenal job at keeping me driven, hungry, humble, okay? Like, everything was always hardest for me. I was the sixth man my freshman year, averaged 16 points, and was all Federal League, and we won the first ever Federal League. Larry was adamant. I mean, looking back on it and reflecting, he was never going to let me think like, now I've made it. Now I've made it. Now I've made it. So every year, I would be the first guy that would be kicked out of a practice, or like, he was just very, very hard on me. And and he was able to do it because he had that great calibration of support and challenge. Okay, so he could challenge the living heck out of me to the point where I thought I was going to break, but he could support and love me. It's like that perfect balance. And he did that. And like, I'm so thankful because he put in me, like, he taught me how to be mentally tough, where anything that would happen is not going to affect me, that my emotions aren't going to change. I'm never going to get high. I'm never going to get low. I'm never going to let anyone know what's going on inside of here. And I mean, I give a ton of credit to that, mixed with, you put that with the humble beginnings of just my family. The roots are you put that together, and there was I'm thankful it made something really. It took what I had and like enabled me to like take it farther.
Yeah.
Whereas if I would have had a high school coach that kind of would have been like, okay,
hey, you're the best.
Yeah, I mean, like, I scored over 2,000 points, and I played like we'd be beating team. We didn't try to score tons of points. He would pull us back somewhat. I would, you know, if I had 35 points and there's middle of the third quarter and we're up a lot, he would sit me. And I would be thinking, come on, let me go get 50, you know? Yeah. And he was more, but he taught me, I learned a lot through all of that.
That's neat. Now you go to Ohio State, you obviously jump right in. You know, starting 18 games as a freshman, the whole thing. something happened to short circuit all that. And I remember hearing about it at the time, but I don't remember the details.
Mm-hmm.
What happened at Ohio State to derail that whole thing?
Okay, so what I'll tell you, I'll back up a little bit just to give you some perspective.
Yeah.
So my life goal was to get to Ohio State. Okay, when I was in middle school, high school, all I wanted is a scholarship to Ohio State. I wanted to play for the Ohio State University. I wanted to put on the uniform. I didn't want to go to the NBA. I didn't want to go play professional ball. I didn't care about anything except playing for my state, Ohio State. I get to Ohio State, and I had made that the god of my life, totally. I get there, and the first day, and I had been on 100 recruiting visits there. I've been to 20 football games, 20 basketball games. I mean, I've been on campus. I know everything about everything. My parents dropped me off in the fall, and I couldn't pinpoint it, but I was like, something doesn't feel right. And I had no idea what it was. And my mom tells me to this day, like, when we dropped you off there, I just felt like something wasn't good. Wow. And being able to be 48 years old and 30 years ago, it's 30 years ago, and reflect back on that. And this, like, God sort of opened my eyes to it a few years ago when I was speaking somewhere. You know, my life had been get to Ohio State and I will have made it. This is what I want. And God said, okay, this is what you think will give you everything, satisfy every desire in your life. Jesus says in Mark 8:36, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world? I did. I won the lottery. That's $100 million to me, is being able to get that scholarship and go to Ohio State. What does it profit a man to gain the world if in turn he forfeits his soul? I get there. I can't figure out, like, why does this not feel right? But I did what I knew how to do, and that's compete and fight and figure out how to figure it out on the basketball court. Basketball goes pretty well. First 15 games, I'm averaging 10 points a game, but I'm like trying to process in my 18-year-old mind, why am I not happy? Why is this not like satisfying me? Why do I just always feel like I'm not happy? Like I'm starting. They're calling my name. I'm starting. I go to Indiana. I had 15 points at Indiana against Bobby Knight. I was a huge Bobby Knight fan. Assembly Hall, like the greatest place in my mind to ever go play basketball. I had 15 points. And I remember coming home, and it was like a little bit of a high for a minute. And then it was just like back to, I don't like this. I'm unhappy. So I start medicating how I knew how to do. Just, okay, well, I can look forward to going out. I can go out and I can drink on Friday night, or Thursday night, Friday night. I start numbing this pain because I can't really talk to anyone about it. What am I going to do? I'm unhappy here. You know, your kids people don't know how to just communicate and just like be open with. That's why I've been so transparent with my children and young people that I'm like, talk to people about what's going on in your life. Don't hide. Long story short, that the spiral starts to go down. There was a breakup with a girlfriend. There was they started bringing me off the bench, which was like to an 18-year-old kid. Now I'm not even starting, and my life's falling apart. So now I'm drinking. I'm going out partying like nonstop as much as I could possibly can, because that's the only thing I can look forward to. I can forget everything. And as an Ohio State athlete, you can run around and have fun all you want. Everybody wants to hang out with you. Well, it would have been May 13th, 1996. It was season's over. It's my birthday. It's Mother's Day. Go out with some teammates, go out like we were doing at the time, get drunk. It's 2:30 in the morning. We're on our way back to the dorm. Me and another teammate go in a parking garage, and we start breaking into cars. So we're bashing car windows in. I mean, we're drunk. I mean, it's just absolutely stupid, like the dumbest thing you could ever do. So the police roll up, chase us. I get arrested on Mother's Day. So I had to call my mom that day. I mean, it was like the next morning. It's my birthday as well. Call my mom, dad, tell them I got arrested. I mean, it was a really, really dark time of my life. Lose my scholarship. It's on ESPN. It's in USA Today. It's everywhere. Ohio State basketball players arrested. So the irony, the interesting part about that is just where God has brought me through that piece of that. I'll just say this because it just happened. The Michigan coach that's in trouble now with all that. Yeah. You think about people like Tiger Woods. You think about people that have there's a spot in my heart, and I'm probably like the 0.0001% of the population that thinks this way, but I just think of that guy and I think, yeah, he's made a tremendous amount of mistakes, but somewhere deep in there is a person that coach who's broken. Something in his life is so broken, and now this is all comes out now. And because somebody asked me recently about Ohio State, something about it, and they said, man, what was going through your mind, or what was going through? Because all I did is I read it in the paper. This was literally a conversation I was having with someone yesterday, and a guy said, I read it in the paper, but I didn't really know everything. And I'm like, and I thought about it. I'm like, man, if you read it in the paper, it looks so terrible. But if I could have walked it out and like explained, gosh, I'm just broken. I don't know what's going on. There's some big void in my life and I'm struggling and I'm an 18-year-old kid and I'm hurting. There's such a bigger story there about a person, you know? So anyway,
we forget that.
Totally.
Especially when you're an athlete like that, because our world loves to build people up and build them as high as they can so that they can watch them fall. And they're excited. So what's going on with Sharon Moore right now at Michigan? Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. It's a guy who maybe got a little bit of he got the head job. Maybe that was his dream, to be a head job. And so when he gets to that position, I think this is what you got to the finality. You got to this is what I want in life, to be at Ohio State. I don't want anything more. I just want to get to Ohio State. So you get there and you go, this isn't satisfying me like I thought it would. And then you become desperate. If this doesn't satisfy me, what is going to satisfy me? And that's a scary place to be.
The Bible says there's a way that seems right to man that in the end leads to death.
Yes.
It feels right. Wow, this is what it looks good. This is a natural progression. Yeah, that's what I want.
So now you leave Ohio State. You end up going to the University of Akron. They give you a chance to come play there. And again, you're Jami Bosley on the court doing everything that you need to do again. What was your personality like there? Did you come back to earth a little bit? Were you humbled to the point or were you bitter that you had to play at Akron, or bitter that you were no longer at Ohio State and you wanted to prove something, or what was going through your head then?
So this will blow your mind, but this is absolutely the truth. When I left Ohio State, there was this giant relief in my heart.
Wow.
I got out of here.
And maybe that's why you broke into the car.
Listen, that's what I got in trouble for. If I was in a bad place in my life. I didn't hurt anyone like physically, but I wanted out of there, and I just didn't understand that it would have been okay to go, hey, maybe I'd look at transferring somewhere else, or maybe I look at somewhere. I came from such a special place at Jackson, and when I was at Ohio State, you were literally like 10 of the 14 guys on our team all thought they were going to the NBA. It was such a weird, like, what are we doing? Going from a culture of like family and together and closeness to like, none of that. It's like, oh man, this is terrible. So to answer your question, I was not bitter at all. I was like,
interesting.
I've always been a person. This is just my humble beginnings. I've always been a person that wants to fly under the radar. I don't want everybody to be looking at me. The one place in the world that I enjoyed being in front of 5 or 10 or 15,000 people and fighting and competing was on the basketball court. That was it. I don't want a bunch of praise. I don't want to be like, look at me at all. So there was no bitterness. I was so like content. And back then you had to sit out a year. So I was like, cool, I can just be like down here for a while. So
Yeah. So you played at a high level just because you loved the game. You didn't play at a high level for the adoration of the crowd.
absolutely not. To be honest with you, I guarantee you, I would bet my right leg on it. I could have been a Division I football player if I wanted to.
I think you could have.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd have been a fullback or a linebacker,
Yeah.
or I was a fighter to the end, and I loved to hit people, and I loved the physicality. I loved to be hit and hit. I mean, my junior year, after Ohio State started heavily recruiting me, I was going to play football because I'm like, I would destroy anyone. Like all my friends played football. I'm like, you guys don't understand. But so I went to a couple football workouts, and then my high school coach claims he got contacted by Randy Ayers at the time, and he came to my house. He's like, "You can't play football. They're not gonna offer you a scholarship if you play football," which probably wasn't true looking back.
Yeah, it's funny. LeBron played 1 year of, I think he played wide receiver.
Yeah, he was like all state.
Yeah. He played 1 year, and then the senior year, I think somebody got in his head again too, and said, "Look, you don't want to get hurt doing this." So I get that. And that's interesting because I didn't know where you were then. So this is all interesting to me, Jamie. I'm just finding out who you were back then and who you are, really. I mean, I've known you and I've known you from afar and everything, but I'm getting to learn your motivation. So you go to Akron and you have a tremendous amount of success. Was it back to family again? Was it a good time? Did you enjoy that?
It was
time?
just small. It was all scaled down, so it was more, I was close to home.
Yeah.
I was 15, 20 minutes from home. So a lot of my family, we had the record for annual attendance at the Jar my junior year because we just had so many local kids on the team. Jamal Ball, Ryan Andrick, Andy Norman. We had kids that were local guys, and we had such a good following from Stark County that would come up and watch me play. I mean, we always had great crowds. So I had fun at Akron. It was better than Ohio State, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
For me personally.
It reminds me of a little bit. Matt, Matt Campbell, who just
yeah.
Well, Matt, I recruited him in high school, and he ended up going to Pitt. I didn't do a good enough job recruiting him. He went to Pitt. He stayed at Pitt for just, I don't even think, a season, even close to a season, and said, I think he felt the same thing, and he transferred back to Mount Union.
Yep.
And he thrived at Mount Union.
Yep.
And I don't want to get into it, but I'm concerned about him going. He was at a place where he was loved, and it was family, and he could nurture kids, and now he's jumped right into the shark-infested waters of Penn State, and I worry for him. It's almost like the same thing.
Yeah.
He was raised in that same kind of environment. So if he ends up watching this, he knows that I'm concerned about him. But anyway, I feel the same. I look at that. There's a lot of comparisons.
Sure.
Between you two. I had a lot of questions about your identity because a lot of great athletes go through, and even if they're not so great, I wasn't so great, but I had reached a level where I played at Iowa State. I had awards here in high school and all that stuff. Not to that level, but it became my identity at Iowa State. I was Joe Palmisano, the football player. When it all ended for you, when it was all done, when the competition was over, how were you lost? Did you know who you were? Did you have to find yourself? Or did you already know? It sounds like you already knew who you were.
The problem was I was missing is that intimate relationship with Christ. I did not have that.
Yeah.
So
nor did I.
So I graduated from Akron my senior year, but I remember I told you I was spiritually sensitive. Like I knew who I was. I knew who I was, and I was a lost sinner. but I didn't know. I knew I was lost. I just didn't know that Jesus was what I truly needed, because I didn't know that true intimacy with Christ. Okay.
Right.
So my senior year, Terry Pluto, Terry Pluto, we had a love-hate relationship. It's at a love point right now. Anytime I see him, he's awesome. But when I was leaving Ohio State, he hit me pretty hard. Lots of papers did, whatever.
Yeah.
That's what they do. So anyway, my senior year, he wrote an article about me in the Beacon Journal, and it basically said, and I never forget, I was sitting in my apartment reading the article, and it said, basically, he was saying, hey, we should applaud Jami Bosley. He has, like, what a redemption story, right? He's come back, he's rebuilt his life, he's graduating, he's had a good career here. And I remember reading the article thinking, if they only really knew the real me. Like, that sounds good, but I'm just not. There's something missing. I didn't know there was something missing. I just knew deep down, I just haven't got caught doing stupid stuff, or I got a little smarter. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to break into cars. That was really stupid. But I'm going to still do, whatever I feel like doing. So,
but you felt that you
I
never
did.
felt like entitled.
Never.
You always felt. So you're telling me you always felt like you were not really worthy of the praise you were getting, but you didn't know how to go. You didn't want to change. You just weren't worthy of it. So maybe no one will figure me out. You wear a little bit of a mask, but I'm not going to change. Because this is who I am.
All I can tell you is I was just lost.
Yeah.
I was trying
Even
to,
then.
I was trying, I knew some foundational core things. Okay. I always had I'm not the athlete that was like people put it this way. I met a lot of people in my life, like 20 years ago while I was playing, that would, let's say they were McKinley fans, or they were a Kent State fan, or they were somebody who just didn't like me and were so happy when I got in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. I've met a lot of people just in my comings and goings of life.
Yeah.
And they've said to me, I've heard this so many times, I thought you were a jerk. I thought you're supposed to be like this arrogant idiot, like jerk. I hated you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know. Well, we don't like our rivals or our whatever. Like, I've met so many people that have said that to me, and I'm like, whatever. I mean, I know who I am. I'm not a jerk.
Yeah.
I've always had a tender heart.
Yeah.
I've always cared for everyone, like cared for people.
Right.
Like, I've had just the way God, the hard wiring of Jami is I'm a caring, loving person, not an arrogant person. I don't think I'm better than anyone else. Now, if we're playing sports and we're doing something, I have an internal confidence. It's not arrogance that I'm going to fight and I'm going to beat you today.
Yeah.
I mean, I played basketball this morning, and I am not there to lose. I'm there to
Still.
win. Yes. Everywhere I go in my career, I'm there to win. I'm 100% commission sales. I only eat what I kill. So I want to kill.
You love that.
I want to kill.
That's
often.
perfect for you.
People are like, oh, I could never do that. I'm like, trust me, you could do it.
Yeah.
Or maybe you couldn't do it. I couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
So those were things I knew about myself, but like finding your identity in Christ is a completely different thing. It's hard because a lot of what I say sounds like, man, you sound like a humble Christ follower. I was a humble person that kind of was trying to figure life out, but I was truly still lost because I didn't have that intimate relationship with Christ.
So I'm trying to figure you out. I mean, I'm sitting here going, okay, you're a good guy. You come from great roots. Your family, you're humble, you were raised correctly, you've done all this stuff. And yet there's this part of you that's like, I still want to rebel.
Well, I mean, listen,
We all do
yeah,
that.
for sure. I still
I mean,
rebel.
we all do it, but I guess, how, so when you got out of Ohio, out of Akron, you graduated, you were still lost at that time.
Absolutely.
So I'm assuming you kind of still went out and went crazy a little bit.
So I went and got into, I was going to be a firefighter. I went to fire academy. I went to EMT school and started working for a private ambulance service. And it was to save you a lot of time. I ended up becoming a part owner of this small ambulance service and like was killing it, just doing amazing. Like it got bought by a private equity because the owner of it had went through a divorce. He had to sell it. Private equity bought it. I took over as the director of operations. They gave me 10% of the business. Like my life was like heading in a great direction. The problem was where I really got derailed from 23 to like 26 is I was never into any sort of drugs, anything like that. Had never done that before. And I caution young people, like I was never into marijuana, never into any of that stuff. I just wasn't. I like to have a few beers, but I was not like a crazy person. I didn't have I didn't like have to drink 20 beers and be wasted or get up in the morning and drink or anything like that. But one night, because I casually just and this is the warning to young people about drugs is like, just don't ever do them. Don't smoke marijuana. Don't anything. I meet so many young people today that are addicted to marijuana. People like marijuana is not addictive. Bad habits are addictive. Tell me that. Like,
that's a great point.
Yeah. Like I like to whatever. Like that's a big, okay. Your body doesn't physically. Don't tell me that. It's all addictive. Anyway, so I was at a party. At a bachelor party, and one of my best friends asked me about, he's like, hey, I had probably had 3 or 4 or 5 beers, whatever. And long story short, I took a hit of ecstasy that night, which is like a party drug. And I had never done anything. My buddies bugging me. And usually I'm the person that's down to just go be. I mean, like I'm pretty a little bit edgy, but I just was never into drugs. But anyway, I take this hit of ecstasy. What I didn't realize is because I did that took me down this road that changed my life completely. So like, because I had done that, now I did it again, like maybe 3 months later, like, well, whatever. Then I did it again, maybe a few weeks later. Then it becomes this trend where I'm doing it on the weekends. Okay. I'm doing it on Friday, Saturday nights. Well, here's the problem. Now I've like sort of like, because I agreed to do that night, it a total whim. Okay. Now, a year later, I'm out one night and I was doing ecstasy and someone throws some cocaine out. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I'll try it. Like completely. Wow. Now the wheels have fallen off. I'm 26 years old and I'm divorced, 27 years old, divorced. I got a 1-year-old son and lost my job, bankrupt, foreclosed my house. Like my life's falling apart. Like what in the world happened? Like 8 years ago, you were starting at Ohio State and now your life is completely falling apart because you don't know where that stuff's going to take you. You have no idea what that one decision, that one stupid night when I was just living kind of like, hey, whatever. I'm just kind of cruising through life, making money, doing good. And if I would have said no that night, I would have probably never done that before, never done it again, because I had always said no before. Like, I'm just not interested. But I kind of lived at that time of my life with not like, there was nothing that really governed me. It was just kind of like, go where the wind blows you. And you know what the Bible says about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah.
So
you you never had the feeling, though, that you were invincible. Like a lot of athletes think that they can do drugs. They think they can dabble in this. I have a feeling that Sharon Moore got to the point where he thought, I'm above this. You know, I'm the head coach now. I can do this. And I don't want to cast anything on them because they're by the grace of God go I. I realize, I look at people, and I know many times in my life, I just didn't get caught. Mm-hmm. And so I realize that. But I think there was a little bit with athletes where you think, oh, I can get away with this. because I can beat people on a court. I can will this to happen. Where you get to the point as an athlete where you say, I could will myself on the court. I could will myself on the field. I could will myself to win. So I could will myself to mess up and not get caught and not have it affect me. You didn't see. You confused me because you're none of those things. You're not the guy I think who thought, "Oh, I can do this drug. It's not going to bother me." You just did it because you just made the decision to do it. It wasn't because you felt invincible.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. And so you go down this road. Now you're bankrupted. Now, for a second time in your life, you have been here and fallen. How did you react to that one? Was this like, I'm never coming back from this? It's over? Or no?
You know, I was so I always wanted to live out of the limelight and just kind of like go do my own thing and not be people know me or watch me or see me. And now I thought if I could just get to that, then I'll be okay. Life will be good. Well, that didn't work either.
Right.
But thankfully, when I was by 27, I had a really good friend of mine named Glenn Maurer. He owns Vasco, the sports construction.
Mm-hmm.
And he invited me to church. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't know anything about church. I grew up in church. Like,
I've been there, done that.
Yeah, like really. And I'm like, and why are you going to church? I'm thinking to myself. But the hope that I had was I had a son who was 1 year old at the time. And I had gone through a divorce. And like, I just always remember thinking, I had like the most amazing parents and family, and like, look how I turned out. And I just kept thinking, like, what's going to happen to my son? Like, he doesn't have that. Like, something's got to change. So my friend invited me to church, and I was like, you know what? I'll come because I want to take Max to church, and I want him to at least be in Sunday school. Well, the church that I went to was really good at, it was really good at showing stories of life change. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think it's Revelation 12:11 says they overcame the dragon, Satan, through the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimonies. Okay. And that verse means so much to me because I watch it. I watch people share their testimonies, and I watch and I hear stories about someone who heard someone else's story about how Jesus had changed their life, and it gave them hope for their own life. I mean, it's just real. That's scripture. That's God's word, and it's so true. I watch it, and I love it, and I can't get enough of it. Well, that was the first time that I had went and I heard somebody share their testimony. At the end of the church, after the sermon, they had a guy come up and he shared his testimony about how he had thrown his life away, how he had a great job and family, and he did drugs and he did cocaine and he got arrested and he was stealing from people and he was in jail. And I'm just thinking to myself, I can't believe this guy's like saying this in front of all these people. That's so freaking embarrassing. Like, I'm so like half of me was shocked, but there was a little piece of me that saw he had something. It was freedom. He had freedom. He had freedom. Like, holy cow. How's he saying all that stuff? And I didn't fully understand it, but God put it in me that day, like gave me a vision and a hope. I could stand up and talk like that someday. I don't know how it'll ever happen. I don't know how I'll get there, but I want what that guy has. Wow. So I would go back every week. I looked at Christianity and church and all that. I looked at it as like, someday I'm going to get back into all that, but I want to have fun right now. I don't want to I don't want to go to church every week and sit there and be like, oh, I have to go to church. What if I want to go watch a football game and have a beer and eat wings? Like, I can't do that anymore. And I always looked at it like all the things I couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And when it all kind of really clicked, I'm like, okay, I got all those things. And boy, I'm like now a slave to all those things. Like, I'm a prisoner. I'm like a total prisoner. So that, and I would go back every week and I would hear a different story about a guy who cheated on his wife and had a sex addict. And he's sitting there with his wife, and I'm thinking, again, mind blown, what is going on here? Like, but there was freedom and there was healing, and there was like graves turning into gardens. It was so beautiful.
Yeah. And so when did this start? This started taking place immediately after your life kind of fell apart?
Well, I mean, it was so honestly, it was like from 2006 to 9-ish. It was so like I was navigating this. So I was going to this church that was amazing. But like one thing, the church, for whatever, they had tons of people that went to this church, but for some reason I couldn't get connected there. Like, you have to be connected to people. You have to be, I've heard it said, walking with Christ is not an individual sport. It is a team sport. And I need my teammates. I need my brothers in Christ. And I had no brothers in Christ. I had all my party friends. So there was a period where I would go to church on Saturday night. Then I would get up in the morning on Sunday. I would go back to the same service because I just wanted to sing. I wanted to praise. I just wanted to be in the presence of goodness.
Now, but you still hadn't surrendered your life to Christ at that point.
It was this. So I believe, and I don't, for me, it was a slow release of my life. Some people have that aha moment.
Yeah.
So the hard part for me is where I grew up in a church where it was like every week, give your life to Christ, or you're gonna, you don't want to go to hell. You could go to. Do you know where you're going when you die? Do you know? Like, and you're just like, as a kid, you're like panicking. Like, I said yes last week. Remember, I signed the document. That wasn't good enough. So like that stuff just all messed with my head. Like, it really, I'm like, well, yeah, I gave my life to Christ like at least 100 times at camp, like maybe 1,000. Yeah. Like every time. Listen, I was so scared of the rapture. Do you know what the rapture is? Yeah. I was so scared of the rapture as a child. When my grandmother, who died at 103, like 5 years ago, she's the most unbelievable, loved the Lord, went home to be with Jesus, beautiful. She was like the most godly person I knew. When I was a little kid, if my parents like went to dinner or went to the grocery store and like they were supposed to be home at 8, like if they weren't home at like 8:15,
you thought they were raptured?
I would pick up the phone and I would call 330-837-1603, and it would ring and it would ring and it would ring, and then my grandma would answer and I go, oh my gosh, hi Grandma, I love you. Just to make sure the rapture didn't happen.
No, you thought you missed it.
Hey,
wow.
You're a kid. We're kids. We're supposed to be like little kids and believe what's taught to us.
Yeah.
And listen, the rapture could have happened. Like, I'm not trying to defame it or not, or like discredit all that stuff. I just was deeply believed. Like, so if somebody I loved and trusted, so to answer your question, I had been going to this church for about 2 years. And like I said, I would go on Saturday night, Sunday morning, and sometimes by 5 o'clock that day, I'd be at the, drunk watching the Browns play. Like, I'm trying to pursue Christ. It's like, if you're alone, you're alone. And I would try to get connected. And it was just they didn't have a great pathway to get you connected to people. So anyway, I started praying and asking God, like, God, can you just I figured it out. I need godly people, guys in my life. Like, I need men that love Jesus that I can just be friends with, and however that works. I just knew that. I started praying that like within like 2 weeks, I had got connected to this little men's group that there was like 6 of us, and we met every week and we read a book together and we would go do service projects together. And it ended like we were together for a year and a half. And at the end, we went on a mission trip to Mexico and we built a little house for a family of like 8. It was unbelievable. was this time of my life when God was just like pouring blessings in my life. Like I lost like 60 pounds. I stopped doing drugs. I stopped smoking. I got a new job. I got custody of my son. Like I met my wife shortly after. Like I never dreamed that I could ever have a family again. I was just like, I blew the first one so bad. Like I just don't ever see that'll ever, this will be, and I have the most amazing wife. I have a stepdaughter who's my daughter, who's a senior at Cedarville. I have my son who's a sophomore at Malone. Like God has just like blessed me and taken care of me and he's just healed so many parts of my life. Yeah.
So Christina,
yep.
has when she came into your life, you were still
No, I was in an amazing place in my life.
Okay.
Yeah. I always tell her, I'm like, man, when I first met her, she's the youngest of 5 sisters. They all went to Hoban.
They did?
Yeah.
I went to Hoban.
Did you?
Knew that, yeah.
She's such an amazing family. But when we first met, I was like, she's like, yeah, I'm the youngest of 5. And I'm like, oh, this is never going to work. And she's like, why? She didn't know who I was. She didn't know like anything. And I'm like, trust me. I'm like, I got a lot of skeletons. Unless your sisters are amazing, and her sisters are the best. They're like 5 cheerleaders of each other. They love each other. They care for each other. So I was just thinking there's a lot of judgment in those 4 sisters. And when you explain to them who I am and they start to hear things and they say my name. But God, I'll tell you what, though, over the last, like the church I was at asked me to share my testimony after I really got plugged in. And I remember being like, I don't think I'm ready to do that. And they're like, because I feared like what happened. I was so used to like screwing up and like having something bad happen. I'm like, I don't want to like share my testimony and then have like,
and you're used to like Terry Pluto and people writing about you too.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm like, what happens when I mess up again? And but there was this like, God has like brought me so close to him when times of my life when he's just said, hey, trust me. And I've literally made it for my life is to just always say yes to Jesus and always trust him. Here I am, Lord. What are we doing? Just tell me where to go or what to do. And I just watch him be faithful. Like I've looked back on my life. I mean, I've been walking with the Lord 18 to 19-ish years. And I just see his hands, his fingerprints everywhere. And he's just like, there's not much I didn't think that he could ask me to do where I would even question him, because I always come through it and say, I don't even know why I even like if I journal for my prayers, I'll jokingly tell the Lord, like, I don't even need to tell you that I know that you got this handled. Like, cause I always look back and read and be like, he had it. He seems to always have it.
And what are the struggles like now when you have struggles and things? You go through ups and downs. We all do. Mm-hmm. How do you approach those now in the Lord?
I spend a lot of time with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I make that a thing in my life that I spend time with the Lord. And a lot of times we as men will just like instinctually go work on things on our own, because we know, like, okay, there's
Lord, I got this handled.
We don't even really sometimes say that. You just do it. And you're like, why is this such a struggle? Why? And you forget, like, why am I trying to do this on my own? Like, I need the Lord. I need you. Like, I'm not a pastor, but I have to do, like, we did a baptism a few weeks ago, and I'm like, okay, Lord, I don't know. I'm not a pastor. I've never ran a baptism before. I don't want to blow this and, like, screw this up somehow. And looking back at it, like, I believe God has us, there's things we have to do. Like, 98% or 99% of the things in our life is where God has placed us and what God has given us, and we have a job to do, and it's to do. My job is to prepare and to spend time and use my time and resources and the things God's given me and work really hard. But at the end of the day, this is what God has given me and prepared for me. I don't have to like be so worried that I'm going to mess it up. Like, God's given this to me, so I will mess it up. I mean,
yeah. You know, I want people to understand that what you're describing, and this is so important. What you're describing is not religion. What you're describing is a relationship. And there's so much different. You had religion. You had laws, do's and don'ts, and things like that. You now have a relationship with your Lord and Savior, with the Creator, with the man who did it all, and who also came down and gave his life for us to reunite us into him. And you have a relationship with him, and that's what. You know, if people could take anything out of this, is that the religion didn't work, the do's and don'ts didn't work, the law, even though the law is still a part of our lives as Christians, the law doesn't work on its own. It's the relationship with a real person. Tell people what you're doing now, because this is, to me, it's phenomenal what you're doing with the University of Akron and with other people, I'm sure. But explain that to people.
So what when I really started to be secure in my relationship with Christ, and I really started to find real healing from my past, healing from just an understanding that my mom was right. Basketball was a gift that was given to me, and that I still use it for God's glory, is to point people to Jesus. So I went through a period where I was trying all different kinds of things, and I've really like to serve the Lord. Where do I use my gifts, my talents, my resources, and to really do what my passion is? So my passion, like one of my spiritual gifts, is evangelism. Okay. So I have a heightened sense of just wanting people to know Jesus. Okay. I've been set free, and I want everyone to be set free. And I don't want anyone to go to hell. I want people to know that the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy your life. And whether, whether he does that or you do it yourself, whatever, or the blend of it, Jesus says, I've come to give you life and life abundantly, not just like a little bit of life. He comes to give life abundantly, and I want you to have it. I want you to know it. I have an abundant life. I'm so thankful for that. So a few years ago, probably where it started is like in 2017, I went on a mission trip. We went to Jamaica.
Right.
Two trips to Jamaica, ran basketball camps for hundreds of kids. And I had been to places like Haiti and Mexico and some other places. And I never really felt like really drawn or called to do that kind of stuff. But I went on these basketball mission trips, and I was like, man, just so much, like I can use my gifts and my talent and my story. Ohio State, like just God gave me that little 8 months of misery of my life, but it put me on the map. People are like, you played at Ohio State? Like it's a big deal to people. So I can use that. So kids in Jamaica will listen to you, want to hear about Ohio State and hear stories, and I can share the love of Christ, what he did in my life. I've been on like 4 mission trips where we went to Belize, to Puerto Rico, and traveled around the country and played basketball, shared testimonies, like just unbelievable, awesome stuff. But what that taught me was like, you can use sports. Okay, now I'm starting to understand I can use this thing of sports, basketball, and with ministry. Sports is like a huge unifier of people. People just love sports. They love, except for Stark County where everybody hates everybody. It's like, I love it. It's the greatest place ever.
I know.
It's like, oh, you went to Hoover, like, or Jackson or McKinley, it's like,
That's so
Ohio's like or Canton's like the one place that it's like, we love it, but we hate everybody else if you're not our team. It's great.
It's so true.
So So what I've realized is this, like basketball, like I can use basketball and I can start sharing my story, and I can start really like using this for the kingdom, to build the kingdom. So a guy asked me like about 2019, 18, 19-ish to come volunteer with him at FCA at the University of Akron. I'm like, okay. He's like, we don't do anything with the basketball team. But we'd love for, like, since you played there, maybe you could get us an inroad there or whatever. So I started kind of hanging around, and it was like uncomfortable because I didn't really know anybody. You know, it's a big, you going back to the football. You just don't, you don't know, whatever. So I would hang around and I would talk to Coach Gross, but I couldn't. It was tough to just make relationships, you know. I'm this 40-year-old guy. Like, like he played here.
Yeah, he's so old.
Yeah, and people don't understand. Kids now don't really. I didn't play in the NBA, so kids now don't really care if you played there 25 years ago, you know, like they're like, people are like, oh, you were really good. You scored 1,300 points there. I'm like, they don't care. Like, and honestly, I don't care. I want to just love these kids and support them and cheer them on. So, and I've been a season ticket holder for 15, 16 years. So, 2020 happens, COVID and all that. So it kind of like killed that. Like, you know, we weren't even allowed to be around the team, all that stuff. Well, 2021, I started hanging back around, and Coach, it was the day of the first game of 2021-22 season, and Coach Gross calls me, and I was mowing my grass. It was like 3:30, and he said, hey, I know you come around a lot, and he said, I was laying in bed last night, and I feel like God told me, I want to have you start doing chapel before games. I'm like, okay. And he said, I want you to just do like a little 10, 15-minute chapel. And he goes, I don't want to be the reason that some of these kids would never get a chance to hear about Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. He went to Taylor University.
Did he really?
He's in terms of human being, coach, culture, unbelievable. He is the best of the best.
Wow.
No one has a bad word to say about him because he talks to every single person that comes in that gym. He doesn't think he's better than anyone. He's just the best. That's all I'll say. So that was 2021. So I start doing chapels. Well, I don't really know the kids. You know, it's like some days we get 1 or 2 kids. Coach always comes to chapel. Some days it would just be me and Coach at chapel. You know, you talk about humble. Like, and I would just say, okay, my wife would encourage me and say, God has you here. God has you here. Keep going. Do what God's laid in front of you. And, you know, before we were even doing chapel, I would just feel like discouraged sometimes leaving there. Like, what do I even go to practice for? I'm like just standing around, you know, whatever. But I felt like God was telling me, hey, it doesn't matter what happens. This is what I'm asking you to do. Are you going to do it or not? So I would say, okay, God, I'll do it. I'll be obedient. I feel like an idiot, but I'll go back again next week. So that was in 2021, 22. So we start picking up a couple more kids coming to chapel. And then I'm starting to I'm developing relationships. It's just like sales, what I do for a living. I'm always very much a fisher of men anyway, whether it's in sales or for sharing my evangelism, sharing Christ. So we get maybe 3-4 kids by the end of the year. Well, now I'm starting to make friendships. I'm starting to deepen relationships with kids. I'm taking them to lunch all the time. We'll have them to the house. Then in 2023, we have a kid named Marvin Museme Kamali. He's like the all-around good player. He's a sophomore or a redshirt sophomore right now. Phenomenal kid. I start really spending a lot of time with him. He's really like hungry to learn more about Christ. And I'll never forget when I first met him, he said to me, so where are you at with faith? You know, I'll ask a question like that, or, hey, what do you think about that guy Jesus? You know, and he said, hey, I'm good. I'm Catholic. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm like, tell me what that means. Like, it's okay. You can be Catholic. What does that mean to you, though? You can't get to heaven by saying I'm Catholic or Baptist or Presbyterian or whatever you are. That is not the key that unlocks heaven. So anyway, so we start just developing this like amazing friendship. Now, fast forward, more kids are coming to chapel. Like this thing's like starting to get like better. Like God's growing it. Anything healthy grows, right? So, it would have been last year. So October 11th, 2024. Marvin and me were sitting at Vicious Biscuit in Fairlawn, and we're just talking about. And he's like, I've never really like had that moment where I said yes to Jesus. And I'm like, oh my, what's going to happen right now? Anyway, so I'm like, well, and we walk through it. He prays and asks Christ to come into his life. It's like now, like, and God knows my heart. Like those are like wins for me. That's like winning a big game or like competing at the highest level.
And not because you got a notch on your belt.
Heck no,
No,
man.
I want people to know that.
This kid's just, I got to be in the presence of someone that walked from darkness into light.
Yeah.
Like his eternity. Like I think God lets me see those because he just knows how much it like feeds my soul. It has nothing to do with anything like that.
I wanted to be clear.
It is everything about like Jesus knows my heart. Is my genuine heart is for people to know Jesus Christ.
Amen.
So Marvin gives his life to Christ. And by the way, for the last year and a half, Marvin's just like, he's just a shooting star. He's so unbelievable. I got connected to a girl named Jane Euchre, who works with Athletes in Action. They have a Bible study with like 70 to 80 student athletes. So I start going and spending time with more student athletes. And and I start developing relationships with baseball players, soccer players, like started growing. Like it's really cool. So we've had a party at our house for the last 2 falls. So in October 2024 and then October 2025, we have a bonfire. I have 4 acres where I live, and we're in the woods. So I have a big bonfire. We had 2 food trucks, and we have 120, 130 student athletes come out that just get to come in the fall and just hang out at a bonfire, eat great food. And I shared my testimony the first year. This year, since Marvin gave his life to Christ, Coach Gross came. The athletic director came. I mean, so we had this big party at our house. Marvin shared his testimony, and this is the most beautiful. This is when I knew, holy cow, God, you are just like, you are here. You are here. So Marvin, this would have been October 15th, 2025, just here 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever. Marvin shares his testimony. It's about 9:30 at night, and after he did at the bonfire, I just said, hey, you know what? If there's anyone here who something that he said, if you connect with that, like don't leave tonight without coming and talking to one of us. Like it starts with a conversation. You don't have to know anything. You might have grown up, know nothing about this stuff, or you might feel something in your heart that just says, I don't know why, but I want to go talk to Jami. So sure enough, afterwards, a baseball player named Ryan Jones, who's like, this is mind blowing. Some of the baseball players I know come up and they're like, hey, Jami, this Ryan wants to meet you. So we go and we walk. I'm like, let's go on a walk. What's up, man? He's like, I don't know if I'm able to keep it together. And he starts to cry. Okay. And he starts telling me, he's like, I can't stop doing bad stuff. And he's just, listen, when I say bad stuff, nothing that just sin, man. Yeah. Sin knows no boundaries. It doesn't care who you are. It just wants to consume you. It crouches at our doorstep. Genesis 4:7. Always. You must master it. So we start talking and he's crying and I can tell like God's doing something here. And I'm like, let me ask you something. Do you believe what Marvin talked about Jesus Christ dying for our sins? You're a sinner. I'm a sinner. We're all a sinner. We need Jesus' forgiveness, what he did on the cross, his blood, his resurrection. Do you believe that? He's like, I know it's true. I know it's true. And I'm like, uh-oh, I might have another one. And I said, okay, let me ask you something. I said, what? Marvin talked about how he just said yes to Jesus. I want to say yes today, and I want to start it today. Is there a reason you don't want to do that today? Like what, and the greatest thing he said to me, he said, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And he's sobbing at this point. And I said, you know what? I said, you're right. You're not good enough. I'm not good enough. I said this, and this is mind blowing. I said, I was in your spot about 20 years ago. And I said, a verse that popped up on the screen at church, 2 Corinthians 5:17. Anyone that is in Christ is a new creation. The old is gone, the new is here. I said, don't you can put that away. Well, you can be a new creation. That's what God tells us. And he literally looks at me and he can't even keep it together. He said, that's the only Bible verse that I know by heart. How did you know that verse? How did you know to say that verse? I said, I don't. That's a Holy Spirit moment, my friend. I said, God brought this. He said, can we do this right now? I said, let's do it, man. And we got on our knees and he gave his life to Christ. And it was unbelievable. But here's the coolest part about it. So, and now I'm I feel like he's my son. He's the most beautiful kid ever. He's amazing. 2 weeks after that, we had a Bible study in the baseball locker room with 22 of his teammates. He shared his testimony, and another kid who just rededicated his life shared his testimony. Fast forward 3 weeks ago, we're sitting at Akron Family Restaurant. It's me, Ryan, Gabe, a kid who recommitted his life to Christ, and 2 other baseball players. They all want to get baptized, okay? So they're going to be part of this big baptism at the field house at Akron.
Yeah.
The University of Akron.
And that blew me away.
Yeah. Oh.
You're in the field house.
In the field house. 200 student athletes. The athletic director's there. Coaches are there. Family and friends are there. We're singing songs, and we're baptizing student athletes. So we were at Akron Family a week before. I was with 4 baseball players that were going to get baptized. And I said, hey, let's just go real quick. I go, let's talk about what you're going to say. I said, I want to give you an opportunity. We're not going to do like a full testimony, but I'm just going to ask you, hey, tell everybody why you're getting baptized today. So I said, let's just rehearse right now if you guys are comfortable. Well, the first kid, Addison, steps up and we're at Akron Family Restaurant. And I'm like, so he starts talking about his upbringing, and he's the sweetest kid ever. Like, these kids are like, you were a coach. You think of these kids as like they're men and all this. Yeah. They're little boys, man. They're little boys in their heart. It's just like when we go to the prison, we go to Mansfield State Penitentiary and play basketball. Those prisoners, like, they're men, but they're like little boys, man. They're like in their heart. Like, that's inside of all of us. They just
we're all like that, Jamie.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's crazy.
We never grow up.
It's just true. So Addison starts telling a story. He's like, I grew up knowing about all this, and and it's, I've had my ups and downs, but since I've come to Akron, I've really been in the Bible, and I really feel like, I'm ready to take this next step. He goes, but I don't really think I've ever really like made it final. Like, I've never really like been secure that I'm saved. And I'm like, do you want to do it right now? And he's like, I would love to. So at Akron Family Restaurant, in a packed lunch, he gets on his knees. Like, 5 of us get on our knees, and he prays and asks for Jesus to come into his life.
Wow.
And it's funny. We get up, and the one kid, Gabe, these kids are so like deep. There's so much depth there. And Gabe is like bawling his eyes out like his teammate. And he's just like, cause he's so moved by the experience.
Yeah.
So anyway, then, a couple weeks later they get baptized. I tell you all that. You asked me a little question about what was going on at Akron. That's like a snippet of like what God's doing there. It is unbelievable what the Holy Spirit is doing among campuses, among young people.
Yeah.
And I think you said it. When I was a kid, at least I know, the pornography, the drugs, and I'm talking like even like high school, middle school, whatever. Like, kids smoke marijuana today, like it's just, whatever.
Water.
Yes. The pornography, the clicks, the gambling.
Oh, yeah.
The gambling is
Out of control.
Out of control.
People think that by creating, they think it's freedom, legislators who say marijuana, we could legalize it. We can legalize gambling. They don't know when they take the lid off of it, they have no idea what sin looks like when you take when you take the lid off of it. Mm-hmm. And it seems innocent. But you put it in the hands of young people, you put it in the hands of old people. You just say, it's okay. And once you say, okay, it's nuts. And that's what we're experiencing now. Social media did the same thing. Social media was like, oh, this is great. We can connect with people all over. Well, yeah, look what's happening. Mm-hmm. We don't need it. If I want to see you bad enough, I'll call you.
Yeah.
And you can meet me somewhere. I don't need 24 hours a day to be on social media garnering. And Satan is so good because then he puts hearts and likes. And I've got 150 likes, like friends. You and I know what friends are really like.
I was on Facebook in
2008
for like 2 or 3 months, or maybe 2009. Then I met my wife and I said, "Hey, what do you think if we just got rid of this Facebook thing, or like whatever?"
Yeah.
So we got rid of it, and I've never been on social media ever again.
It's been 15 years for me.
It's the greatest gift.
I have no desire. And even when I was in business, the people, my media people and stuff, would come to me and say, "Joe, you need to be on these things." I said, "No, I don't. You do. You be my person on there or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to have anything to do with it." We're out of time.
Okay. Well, let me say one last thing. I do believe this, though, about the young people stuff. I believe when we were young, you kind of had to work this in. You had to find a bookie if you wanted to place a bet on the Browns, or you had to pornography was like magazines or something or whatever. Like now everything's so freely given, all of it. Young people see that. They find that void and that darkness. It all comes so quick. It makes the light shine so much brighter.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That is a great point, Jamie. I think I think we're seeing, and I told you this, I think we're seeing an absolute revival among the young people because of the fact that they've been experiencing all this stuff. They see it, and they're inundated by it. And they get to a point where this isn't working. It's you going to Ohio State and saying, "Is this all there is?" They're seeing the same thing with gambling, with everything else. It's so prevalent that they're getting, it's like being dunked.
Yeah, overexposed.
Yeah. And now they're saying this can't be all there is in life.
I mean, think about what Tom Brady said a few years ago on 60 Minutes, when after he had run his 4th or 5th Super Bowl, like the most crazy thing ever. He had the supermodel wife, he had all the money in the world, Super Bowl MVPs, rings, all of it, and he said on 60 Minutes, you can find it. He said, "There's got to be more to life than this. There has to be more to life than this."
Yeah.
They're like, "What's next?" He's like, "There's just got to be, I feel like I'm here for something more."
Yeah.
It's like, we're like, ding, 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 doesn't matter, man. If it's sin,
know.
if it's success, if it's whatever it is, man.
I tell you what, it has been a joy. We've gone over time, and I'm glad. But it's been a joy to get to know you again, to get to know you really for the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known you from afar. I've known you for a long, long time, and followed you and all that, and now to get to know you and to see the depth that you are, that's going on in you, and you, and the joy of finally knowing who you are. You know, it took me years too, so I get it.
Yeah.
Not quite as long as you, or much longer than you. But I get it when you look at someone and you say, "It's so wonderful," and the only way to do it is through Jesus Christ. So, amen. I thank you. We'll have you on again. I love it, and God bless you, Jami Bosley, folks, and I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, again, as we close out today, I would ask you to, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to us if you can. And not that because I need your subscriptions. We want to get these stories out to more people. And you do that by subscribing and liking things and following things on other platforms. But if you could subscribe to us on YouTube, we'd appreciate it greatly. You have a great week. I hope you enjoyed this. I sure did. And, I love having Jamie here, and all our guests is coming on this show. God bless you. Have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you next time.